some great-looking athletes. That's, I can tell you. It was great to meet you before. I hope you all got your medal. Did anybody not get the medal? No, because I want to make sure. I don't want to have anybody leave unhappy. Please sit down. There's no place like this, right? The White House. Coach, what do you think? Pretty good, right? I meet all these golfers over here. I said, what are your handicaps? +4. I said, +4, +5 even. It's just, that's good stuff. He actually said higher than that. I said, you got to be kidding me, right? That's great. Great. Congratulations. Great team. I heard about the team. And I heard about all the teams this afternoon. We're joined by not one, not two, but 7 collegiate championship winning teams from all across the country. Champions, every one of them. And these are student athletes that have demonstrated remarkable talent and discipline. And we're born a little bit lucky with talent because I'm not sure, Coach, I'm not sure. I look at all these great coaches that have these records, 40-1, 37-2, pretty good records. But we're talking, and I guess you probably have to have a little something, something very special, because what you are and what you do is very special. To the winners here today, welcome to the White House, a very, very incredible place. I pinch myself every time I walk through the White House. I say, this place is really something. And it's a great honor to have you because you're very amazing people. Among those joining us this afternoon are the 2025 Division I men's golf champions. Why don't you stand up when I introduce you? For a second, you had all the fake news back there. So, you know, you'd have they'll treat you better than they treat me. They're going to treat you better than they treat me. And that's Oklahoma State Cowboys. And I just said that I won Oklahoma 77 out of 77 counties. Second was Ronald Reagan. So I'm very proud of that. It's somehow they like me in Oklahoma. I don't know what that is. Sit down, Coach. Great job. The incredible team showcased consistency, grit, and precision all season long, led by head coach Alan Bratton. Alan, unbelievable. The Cowboys dominated throughout the spring, capturing multiple victories before securing their 12th national title. Amazing. They have made Oklahoma State very proud, and it's a great school, and it's a great sports school, too, with some unbelievable champions and teams, and you're right at the top. Congratulations. It's great. I'll have to play golf with you guys sometime. I'm going to try giving you a match. I think it's going to be tough. This one, this is a match I'm not looking forward to. And anytime you're around, you let us know, okay? We'll let you go over to the place I told you about, special place on the Potomac River, okay? Joining us as well are the 2025 NCAA Women's Volleyball Champions, the Texas A&M Aggies. Thank you. Good. Stand up. When I watch television, I watch the level of talent. It's actually incredible, and you're the best of the best. So that's an amazing thing. And from the opening serve to the final point of the national championship, the Aggies played with heart and determination. Everybody here played with heart and determination, really. They dominated the tournament, sweeping top-seeded Kentucky to claim, why were they top-seeded? What's going on? What's going on? I don't like that. To claim the program's first ever national title. Kendall Stowers was an offensive powerhouse. Where's Kendall? Where really, are you a powerhouse? Yes, I can tell you are indeed a real powerhouse and champion. And senior opposite hitter Logan Lednicki delivered 11 kills against Kentucky. Where's Logan? Congratulations. So how tall are you, Logan? 6'3". Wow, that's pretty good, let me tell you. But I want to congratulate, what great athletes. Thank you very much. Great athletes, please. Also in the winner's circle, we have the 2025 NCAA men's tennis champions, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, and Arnold Palmer was a great friend of mine in a slightly different sport. How's your golf team doing? I don't know. They're pretty good, right? They're pretty good too. But they battled through the fierce postseason to claim their second national title. DK Suresh delivered the clinching point to seal a 4-2 victory over TCU in the final. And I want to congratulate you. And I see you right there. I said, who's the best player of the team? And they all pointed to him, right? So congratulations. And that's really incredible, DK, what you've done. You had a great year. You all had a great year. Thank you very much. Good. You know, Arnold Palmer was a great friend of mine. I got to know him toward the end of his life. He was an unbelievable champion. Went to that school, right? He went to that special school, and he used to love it. And it's known for that. It really was something. I've been there. Up next are the 2025 NCAA Women's Tennis Champions, the Georgia Bulldogs, who just captured their third national titles. Stand up, please. Great. Sophia Rojas sealed this team's incredible victory, losing her first set before roaring back to dominate the next two and clinch Georgia's sweep over the team from Texas A&M. And all I can say is go Bulldogs. That's a great state. I love that state. Did very well there too in the election. You know, I only like the states that I win, so it's one of those. But thank you very much. Congratulations. That's really fantastic. What a great job. That's not easy. Winning in tennis, that's a tough thing to do. I play tennis a little bit, not quite at that level, not quite, but that's a great thing. Congratulations. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Also with us are the 2025 National Collegiate Women's Bowling Champions. They gave me a beautiful jacket. The Youngstown State Penguins. You know, the jacket's been gone over. Where are you? The jacket's been x-rayed, gone over by Secret Service at a level that doesn't look the same. It just doesn't. They've gone over it to levels that you wouldn't believe. But I want to thank you very much because it's beautiful. The team rolled their way into history with the program's first ever national title. Wow. Senior Madison Marks. Where's Madison? Congratulations. It's incredible. Was unstoppable in the finals and was named the first team All-American, and that's a big thing to be named first team All-American. So what would you average in bowling, Madison?
I ended my college career at like a 208 average.
208, that's fantastic, man. That's great. So congratulations. It's not easy bowling. I've tried it. It doesn't work too well for me. It's very difficult. Actually, it's very difficult. And it's supposed to be one of the best teams in many years beyond everything else. So thank you very much. Congratulations for being here at the White House. Thank you. And we're also proud to recognize the 2025 NCAA Women's Soccer Champions, the Florida State Seminoles. They just clinched their fifth national title and back-to-back championships for the second time in the program history. That's amazing. Sophomore midfielder Peyton McGovern had an impressive season. Where's Peyton? Peyton, where are you, Peyton? That's great, huh? Are you that good? Are you going to turn pro? I think so. I think you will. I have a feeling. Finding herself in the starting lineup for 18 games, was ultimately named the 2025 All-Tournament team. And senior defender Claire Rain earned her second national title playing with FSU. And congratulations to all of you. Congratulations. It's a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Really amazing. It's a great, great school. Finally, we have the 2025 National Collegiate Mixed Rifle Champions, the West Virginia Mountaineers, 51 points. Susie, we dominated West Virginia, maybe even more than you dominated the rifle world, Coach. I don't know. But I love that state. That state is the greatest. It's such an incredible group of people. And think of it, for their 20th national shooting title, and the coach was there for all of them or most of them, all of them, just about all of them. That's amazing. And I just want to congratulate you. West Virginia is it's a great place. It's a great state. So many friends there. We've been there a lot. You know, when you win it by 45 points or something like that, maybe more, you like to sort of say, I love that state. And they like me, I guess. I can't imagine why. But for you to win, that's I know how difficult it is. So congratulations to all very much. This was the school's record as the #1 most winning program in collegiate rifle history. So you have the #1 school in rifle history. Congratulations. It's an amazing, amazing accomplishment. So college sports are among America's most cherished institutions, a tradition where lessons learned on the playing field shape the character of winners. And you are winners. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. The athletes here today represent the very best of that grit and determination and teamwork. That's why under my administration, we're fighting hard to save college sports. What's happening is crazy. It's crazy. And what we want to do is help athletes, or like all of you in this room. And as soon as I took office, I ended a terrible injustice and banned men from competing in women's sports. I don't know if anybody agrees. Does anybody agree with that? That men should be able to play in women's sports? Would you like to raise your hand? Don't feel. Don't, well, so far I have never found anybody, but they say it's an 80-20 issue, but I've never been able to find anybody. So I think it's a 99-1. Maybe it's a little bit more than that, Coach, right? Maybe it's 100-0. I campaigned on that one all the time. I say there will be no men and women's sports, and people would go crazy. But I mean, but you're politically correct. So earlier this month, I signed an executive order to implement a number of key reforms protecting programs like yours, which don't always get the top headlines, but are crucial to strengthening years and years of education and sports and the ability to compete and to win, which we need very much. We now have, thanks to a wonderful decision in the Supreme Court, we're a country that's again based on merit. In other words, if you're the best shooter, you're the best shooter. If you're the best golfer, you're the best golfer. And all of these things are very important to stop the pay for play schemes that only benefit the largest programs. We will only allow one no penalty transfer through the transfer portal. I think most of the people here know what that means, where you had some people going to 3-4 different, it's like they became like monopoly players. And to ensure room for the new talent, we're also instituting a 5-year eligibility cap for college players, because students right out of high school should not have to compete against players that are 28 or 29 years old who decide they can make more money staying in college than they can by going into the professional leagues, which is pretty ridiculous. It's a very, very precarious position that the courts have left us in, because we had great college sports, and the person, a judge decided, who was not a person that knew much about sports, actually, I think knew nothing about sports, decided that the whole thing was unconstitutional. For over 100 years, they developed these programs, a lot of scholarships, a lot of great things happening. And now it's a total and complete mess. But we're going to get it fixed up, and we've got some fantastic people doing it. So we need now Congress to act to clear up the confusion created by the courts and institute permanent reforms to protect college sports at every level, and especially some sports. And frankly, you know, a lot of the emphasis is put on football, but football's now destroying the colleges economically, because they're being paid so much at the colleges, are losing so much money. It's not sustainable. So in recent weeks, the White House has convened many of the most respected sports figures and commissioners in the nation. We had all of them here, just about all of the top people, 64 of them, including Nick Saban, one of the greatest coaches ever, Randy Levine, the head of the New York Yankees, Bryson DeChambeau, a rather good golfer. Was he pretty good, coach? He'd make your team even, right? I don't know. That's a pretty good team. He will make your team. Tim Tebow, wonderful guy. Charlie Ward, Adam Silver. This incredible group developed a strong set of recommendations, and my administration is committed to working with Congress to get them through. I signed an executive order instituting those recommendations, and it's going to clean it up a long way. It's going to take it a long way. 75% of Olympians competing for Team USA played as college athletes. If we don't straighten out this, we're not going to have much of an Olympic team, because you have so many of these sports, especially certain sports, where it's like the minor leagues. You could call it the major leagues. You could call it whatever you want, but we train unbelievable athletes to go in and win the gold medal. And without college sports, without your ability to go into college sports and compete and learn really how to play and get better, we're not going to have much of an Olympic team anymore. Many of America's greatest CEOs and entrepreneurs learned discipline, courage, and drive through playing sports in college. And I loved sports. I mean, I was so helped in my life by sports. Saving this tradition is not only a matter of fairness and sportsmanship, it's a matter of national pride and national greatness indeed. All of you have battled your way to the absolute top in sports, and now you have an administration that's fighting just as hard for you as you fight for our country, and you have fought for our country. So I want to congratulate you. You know, you're a group of real champions. I know what it is to win in sports and win in life, but to win in sports is, I always say it's a microcosm of life. The beautiful thing, you know, in 2 hours, or you know, in a season, how you are in life. Sometimes you have to go a lot of years before you can figure it out. But I have to say, you are unbelievable champions. I admire and respect all of you, and it's an honor to have you in the White House, and you'll come back. And who knows, someday you might, one of you or two of you or three of you, Susie, what do you think, might come back as me? You don't want that. I don't think you want that. I don't think, it's not worth it. But it's an honor to have you here, and congratulations. And here we have some beautiful trophies, as you see. And we're going to be giving things out, and we're going to be seeing maybe some of you later. You're going to hang around and enjoy the White House for a little bit. And thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Audio for just a moment. Hello, hello. Glad to be with you. Off to a great start. So far, I've had two mic drops here. Okay. So, my friends, welcome to the show. Welcome to this Tuesday night. I'll get into a few things here in a moment, but first off, I just want to say to Maggie, congratulations on your surgery and getting rid of Marvin. I think you called him Marvin, who was the tumor. And congratulations, and on your birthday, no less. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Maggie. How does God love you by saving you and strengthening you? And God bless those doctors and that technique that you used, and many, many years to come of health and well-being. So happy birthday, Meg. Yes. And yes. So far, I haven't gotten a significant confirmation, but oh, you're so welcome. That's so awesome. I was going to do a show last night with my friends Darren and Tricia. We go back, I don't know, 30 years, something like that. But we we had some other things to take care of last night, so we did that, and which was helpful to me. But I'm going to have them on another time. We're going to Zoom, but they're up in Wisconsin. But that's why we didn't come on last night, and so I wanted to get on tonight and connect with you after a long weekend, and I hope all is well. A lot of things obviously going on. And first and foremost is some connection problems that I'm having here on my equipment. So please bear with me. Also did not get a few things done. The reason I wanted to show the President Trump speaking to the athletes is because, one of the big things that he's talking about is no men and women's sports. Well, in order to really drive that home, you really have to celebrate women's sports. And that's what he did with all these national championship teams that he was acknowledging today. And also just in general, just to show the honoring of these women and men, but the difference between their sports. which I think is very, very important if you're going to really drive home the fact that men should not be competing in women's sports. So you have to celebrate these things, right? So a lot of great birthday messages, Maggie. Very cool. Very cool. And thank you, Jingle, for sharing out and tagging influencers. There was news today, my friends, of David Wilcock having died. David, I've used to watch quite a bit back in the day before I started my show. So far, there's not been an official announcement from his account, but Corey Good mentioned it and was looking into it. I thought they had a falling out or something, or because Corey Good, I just never was impressed with him and his stories without any proof ever whatsoever about he would talk about you step through a door, you're on Mars, so that was before the whole flat earth stuff, where I woke up to all that, so I wasn't buying any of that. And there was absolutely zero proof of anything that he was doing, and so I kind of lost confidence in David Wilcock with that relationship and some of the stuff that they were doing. So at any rate, but God bless David and his family and friends. Never want to lose anybody who is seemingly trying to bring awareness to the masses about all the lies that we've been told. And so, all right, Pizza and D Live. Okay, good. Yeah. And thank you, President Trump, for supporting college sports to bring truth. I mean, it's, this is a pretty big thing if you're going to, he's walking the walk is what he's doing when it comes to these sports. And so I thought that was really good. How's the weekend, everybody? This is very some very interesting things that are going on that I wanted to get into, and some are very obvious, some are not so obvious. And this is let me just share a little bit of David before we get on to other topics. And yeah, here we go.
One of the things that I learned from whistleblowers from the cabal itself is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission to enslave us. Ultimately, the universe is intelligent, alive, and conscious, and it is benevolent. It is a benevolent consciousness. That consciousness does not allow the negative to succeed unless it is invited. So the cabal has made a science, a very elaborate science, out of studying these arcane, occult, magical principles that allow them to get away with what they do. So they have to put out everything that tells you who they are in music videos, in these Super Bowl halftime shows, the Grammy Awards ceremonies. They're out there showing you the truth. This is what people are going to have so much trouble with. Practice black magic, and they are very, very good at it.
Yeah, they're very good at it, and they are very upfront about it, in your face about it, and this is all, being exposed.
One of the things that I learned.
and supposedly it was a suicide. And in Colorado, supposedly they got to him, and he was distressed, and I believe he shot himself. Um, but yeah, so the Boulder County Sheriff's Office described it as a mental health crisis response with no threat to the public. 53 or 54-year-old man outside a residence who was holding a weapon. He used a weapon on himself shortly after their arrival and was pronounced dead at the scene. Um, yeah. So he lived in Colorado for years. He used to live out by me in California, but he escaped California, I believe, with the rest of us. So, yeah. He just talked about suicide the other day, how to never ever take your life. I don't believe it. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. I watched his live the other day. He said he was saying he lost a lot of weight and had been having strange health conditions like tingling in the hands. Um, that's interesting. And his posts just recently, he was, let me just pull this up. He was having some kind of problem. He said, let's see. I'm not sure if I'm doing a show tomorrow. This is on the 18th. I've had some very intense stuff going on this weekend. Either way, I want you all to know how much I love and appreciate you. Always remember that the Creator is within and we all live in a loving universe. I'm very grateful to you for all your love, care, and support. Thank you to all my donors, regular loyal supporters, including, and she names off a bunch. But this is, when I read this, I've had some very intense stuff going on this week. And either way, I want you all to know how much I love and appreciate you. It's almost like he might not have another opportunity to say this. And I'm very grateful to you again, and love, care, and support. And then thanking all the people in his life that have been very helpful. So, yeah. But and then he was posting about President Trump's picture of that he reposted. So thank you, Edward. Appreciate that. Yeah, if you guys have any information, yeah, if he's no longer with us, Ravens Wings, I don't believe it was suicide. That would be, there would be a lot of people that would love to take out David Wilcock because of the things that he has said that are, that have awakened many. I mean, he's been an alternative voice in this world for a long time. Mary, oh, wow, I found him in 2020 right before finding you. Yeah. Also, he complained about being very, very broke and not being able to feed himself well enough. Well, it's a shame that somebody with that kind of following, or that kind of, fame of, surely enough people have heard him speak and been impressed with some of his work. For him not to be able to sustain himself on that is somewhat frustrating. Certainly, that I've experienced as well. Yeah, it's like just, yeah, I don't want to get into it. Was he getting a divorce? I don't know. David Wilcock, Dina. Supposedly he has committed suicide and was in front of cops, possibly too. I did watch his show too, and he said he was very constipated and he looked bad too. Dirty cops, maybe, could be. Um, he looked a lot skinnier too. Yeah, David Wilcock. Yeah. Yeah, it almost sounded like a goodbye there, doesn't it? Right? Yeah. Doesn't add up. Yeah, exactly. He always talked about how he was afraid that he would be taken out and absolutely made it confirmed. Never take your life. That's what I've always said too, right? Because if I ever go, trust me, folks, it's not suicide. You got to know that about me. I would not take myself off this earth. You know, do that to my daughter, to my ex, to my family. Um, Especially after my, brother left us too soon. Um, to throw away a life after he fought so hard for his, it's just not okay. But thank you for sharing that about him. Yeah. Um, he was also talking about finally finding his perfect companion. Interesting. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a guy that wants to commit suicide, right? Um, yeah. So we'll see. Ravens Wings Wilcock opened my eyes to a lot. Yeah, he did some good stuff in his day. I mean, without question. So prayers up for David, and I hope that's not him. Um, and and that he's still with us. I would love for him to still be with us. That's for darn sure. Um, all right, my friends. So an hour ago, President Trump posted. Pete Hegseth also reposted on X, but President Trump put it on True Social. He said Iran doesn't want the Strait of Hormuz closed. They want it open so they can make $500 million a day, which is therefore what they are losing if it is closed. They only say they want it closed because I have it totally blockaded, closed. So they merely want to save face. People approached me 4 days ago saying, "Sir, Iran wants to open up the strait immediately. But if we do that, there can never be a deal with Iran unless we blow up the rest of their country, their leaders included, President Donald J. Trump." Damn. Donnie not messing around, folks. Holy cow. Yeah. Let's see if he's taken us to anything. I'm interested. It's not too out of the ordinary, but there might be something here. Yeah, 43. Okay. 43 and 34. So these are really good. 43 we've been to many times, so much so that it comes up when I pull up, things at all. And then 34, of course, is Q clearance patriots. So if we're thinking, capital letters, we've got these crumbs are not meant to scare anyone, but merely inform. Resistance will be dealt with swiftly. The core focus is removing entrenched and fortified bad actors within our federal government, past and present, as well as others. Simply be diligent. Phone numbers will be provided if you witness an uprising or other domestic violence, in addition to 911, I'm sorry. Any military scene is for your protection, as well as to demonstrate our resolve. Watch for confirmations tomorrow. The bad actors, Tulsi Gabbard has been talking about that. John Solomon's talking about that, talking about the grand jury investigation in Florida for John Brennan and for Hillary Clinton, and which will lead to Barack Obama. And then cue Clarence Patriot, my friends, November 1st, 2017. My fellow Americans, over the course of the next several days, you will undoubtedly realize that we're taking back our great country, the land of the free, from the evil tyrants that wish to do us harm and destroy the last remaining refuge of shining light. On POTUS's order, we have initiated certain fail-safes that shall safeguard the public from the primary fallout, which is slated to occur 11/3 upon the arrest announcement of Mr. Podesta, actionable 11/4. Confirmation of the public of what is occurring will then be revealed and will not be openly accepted. Think about this. Confirmation of the public of what is occurring. These are mass arrests. We're already seeing more and more of these congressmen and women that are going bye-bye, okay? And so I believe what we're going to see, and let me take you to this one here, which was we saw this one coming. And man, I put well, we're hearing about Swalwell, okay, and that he had these sex parties. And they're being compared to the freak-offs that Diddy Combs put together. Transportation of both male and female prostitutes reportedly across state lines, perverted sexual acts, allegations of women being forced to participate in congressional orgies, as well as illicit drug use and non-consensual forcible sex acts. The former Swalwell staffers claim that there's photographic and video evidence of the illegal acts that occurred at these infamous parties, which they describe as the worst kept secret in Washington. They allege that a multitude of big-name politicians are guilty of serious federal sex and drug trafficking crimes related to the events at these orgies, and call this the scandal of the century that will bring Washington to its knees. Our instincts were right all along. Swalwell was only the tip of the iceberg. This is just the beginning, and our government is run by total scum. The American people demand justice. So that's from Joshua Hall. We'll have to double check and triple check that and make sure that that is indeed what's happening. And also, this is Ilhan Omar being interviewed by this young lady who is working for Real Lindell TV.
Congresswoman Omar, the last time I spoke to you, you said that I was stupid for asking you about your financial disclosure, but there's some discrepancies on there. Would you like to explain that? How did you make such a big mistake on it?
Absolutely, you're stupid for asking me anything.
I am?
Yes.
Well, what about
So she got caught. She revised her financial disclosure from $30 million to $100,000. This woman, and listen to what she says.
on there? Would you like to explain that? How did you make such a big mistake on it?
Absolutely, you're stupid for asking me anything.
I am?
Yes.
Well, what about the American people who are wondering how you made such a big
I have
mistake?
explained to the American people.
What's the explanation?
I have given them the explanation.
Do you want to tell our viewers? Because they're
I don't want to tell you jack shit. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
She's fucking guilty. She is so guilty. And
The
it
last
looks
time
on
I
her
spoke to you, you
face.
said that I was stupid for asking you about your financial disclosure, but there's some discrepancies on there. Would you like to explain that? How did you make such a big mistake on it?
Absolutely, you're stupid for asking me anything.
I am?
Yes.
Well, what about the
She's worried. Look at her. She is.
American people who are wondering how you made such a big
I have
mistake?
explained to the American people.
No, she is
What's the
not.
explanation?
I have given them the explanation.
Do you want to tell our viewers? Because they're
I don't want to tell you jack shit. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
And she's mocking her. Meanwhile, she's just pissing off this girl, this woman even more. And she's going to come right back at her, man. It's like, so this is Ilhan. We saw Swalwell, okay? And then this one resigned today. Hold on. Oh, we got some. Here we go. This is the one. This was Representative Sheila Sherflius McCormick. Okay. And we showed her a while back. She said, and this was her before the resignation when she was trying to skirt this. This was November 2025. Today, she said, "Dear Mr. Speaker, I hereby resign my office from the 119th Congress as representative for Florida's 20th Congressional District, effective Tuesday, April 21st, 1:30 p.m. So she's gone, folks. It has been the honor of my lifetime to serve the people in my district. I remain proud of the work we have accomplished on behalf of our communities. After careful reflection and prayer, I've concluded that it's the best interest of my constituents and the institution that I step aside at this time. I remain committed to supporting a smooth transition and ensuring continuous service for the district." Sheila McCormick. Let's listen.
Thoughts on the indictment, please.
Well, it's an unjust indictment, and it seems like he's
For some reason, I'm not getting very good audio here.
intimidation tactics have been pervasive. We spent all week seeing different members getting censured, all in hopes of intimidating and kind of distracting from the Epstein files. And I look forward to my day in court so I can prove myself and actually state the truth. But if this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare tactics, especially attacking minorities, Black and brown people, then we're going to have to keep fighting for the district. And everybody has been giving me so much support, and we're going to keep fighting until the district gets what it needs, which is fair prices, housing, and fair representation of Congress.
Did
So thank you
you
so much.
improperly use the FEMA funds?
From your colleagues to step down or resign.
They didn't elect me, it was my district, and so we'll keep fighting for the people and keep working like we're doing now until they get what they need. So we're here for the people. So the only people who elected me should have make that decision. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so she's here for the people, folks. Here for the people. Well, why did she resign? Well, she stepped down minutes before a scheduled House Ethics Committee hearing, and that was recommending sanctions against her, including a possible expulsion vote by the full House. The House Ethics Committee has already found her guilty of more than 25 ethics violations, mostly related to campaign finance issues and fraud. Yes, she's here for the people of her district. That's what she's here for. She faces a federal criminal indictment. This is where Q said, that it's not just going to be resignations. It's not just stepping down. They will face criminal charges. From November 2025, accusing her and her brother of stealing nearly $5 million in federal disaster relief funds, FEMA COVID-related overpayments to her family's healthcare company. Prosecutors allege some of that money was funneled into her 2021-2022 congressional campaign. She was never supposed to lose, folks. This never would have been questioned. These things never, the Doge never would have happened. The fraud, the Minnesota fraud, the corruption with the Democrats, they would have just brought in voters just like they did under Biden. She never was supposed to lose, and that's why these people were just stealing, even though she was stole after she lost. But this was the mindset of everybody, of the swamp. Yeah, she pleaded not guilty, but she called the process a witch hunt and political games, claiming it was unfair. And she was stepping away to focus on fighting for my neighbors in Florida's 20th district rather than continue the fight in Congress. This was the third House member to resign in about a week amid ethics scandals. Okay. So President Trump tonight just took us to Q Clarence Patriot. Confirmation to the public of what is occurring will then be revealed and will not be openly accepted. And I think that's going to be the arrests that are coming with John Brennan in Florida. public riots are being organized in serious numbers. Meanwhile, this was big news today, and that was that fact that of what Kash Patel found.
What we're here today is to announce what the general just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive sweeping indictment, has been charged with allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud. I just want to talk about a couple of brief things here. The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups. However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups. I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. The groups, as the general laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front. In at least one of these matters, our investigation revealed that funds were used to facilitate the commission of further state and federal offenses, totaling over $3 million. Furthermore, our investigation revealed that the Southern Poverty Law Center, on top of perpetuating this widespread, decade-long, multi-million-dollar fraud, conducted more criminal activity. They attempted to hide their criminal activity from our financial banking network. They set up shell companies and entities around America so that the financial institutions that we rely on as everyday Americans were deceived in believing that money was not coming from the Southern Poverty Law Center in the perpetration of this scheme and fraud, but rather fictitious entities they stood up to perpetuate this ongoing fraud. This is a serious and egregious violation of a group that purported to dismantle violent extremist groups, but in turn actually only fueled the hatred. This is an important case brought by President Trump's administration. We're thankful to the president for his leadership and funding of not just the FBI and DOJ, but his commitment to go out there and wipe out fraud and conspiracy and waste and abuse wherever it occurs, including the Southern Poverty Law Center. Even though this money was made to appear to be coming from legitimate people and legitimate entities, we at the FBI, with our great partners at the Department of Justice and in the state of Alabama, were able to comb through a decade worth of material, a scheme that took a decade to build, so that we were able to follow the money, because money never lies, and they got caught. As the Attorney General said, these charges are varying. They are widespread and wide-ranging, and this investigation is very much ongoing. Today, we're here to announce the charges of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and this investigation and the individuals who are responsible will be brought to justice. Thank you, General.
Yeah. This is part of the exposure of all these riots and all these, protests and all this money, and how they're literally financing the problem so that they are the solution. And it's unbelievable. It's uncanny. But we were told this was all going to happen, right? Southern Poverty Law Center certainly has some connections to Soros. They've given them money in the past, but primarily it's places like Fidelity, Schwab, family foundations, but man, they're going down because they've been funding stuff they're not supposed to be funding. Okay, so this is good to see, right? And so confirmation of what is occurring and will not be openly accepted, right? The riots being organized in serious numbers to prevent the arrest and capture of more senior public officials. Now think about this. The ones Omar, Swalwell, McCormick, these people that are resigning, they're going to be arrested because they have engaged in illegal behavior. And so they're trying to prevent the arrest and capture of more senior public officials on POTUS's order. Now, remember, President Trump took us here tonight with his capital letter count on his last post an hour ago. On POTUS's order, a state of temporary military control, which we're seeing more and more of as a necessity given the fact that the judiciary is so corrupt. And we've been told this will be actioned and special operations carried out. False leaks have been made to retain several within the confines of the United States to prevent extradition and special operator necessity. Rest assured, the safety and well-being of you and I, my friends, every man, woman, and child of this country, is being exhausted in full. However, the atmosphere within the country will unfortunately be divided, as so many have fallen for the corrupt and evil narrative that has long been broadcast. We will be initiating the emergency broadcast system, EMS, during this time in an effort to provide a direct message avoiding the fake news to all citizens. Organizations and or people that wish to do us harm during this time will be met with swift fury. Certain laws have been pre-lifted to provide our great military the necessary authority to handle and conduct these operations at home and abroad. And also 43 was resistance will be dealt with swiftly, right? So we've got swiftly and we've got swift fury. And what are we in the process of right now? Operation Fury, the Iran war. And what's it called? What's the Fury Operation Fury? And so this is and it's on the message, right? Based on the fact that Epic Fury, Operation Epic Fury. And so this is the post of his that was about Iran and closing the Strait of Hormuz and talking to us about, fury. So very, very significant. Now, the timestamp, I didn't get much in the timestamp, but I didn't spend a lot of time on it. But if Vault 1 and WikiLeaks, Snowden, infiltrate centralized secure, exposed to harm, White House interference directive, Russia connection. This would take more time for me to really go over, but I want to go to the military, which is 2036. All right, which is 236. And take us to 236. Focus on Hussein. Revelations coming very, very soon. Huma, Saudi Arabia, Hussein, HLR first, civil rights attorney, HLR. Let me pull up HLR and see if there's a, because it's not ringing a bell right now, unless you guys have a handle on that. No. I don't think it was I think it was Lynn Rothschild. It's Linda Rothschild. Epic Fury. Thank you guys. Yeah, just went for a brain fart there. So but let me see if it explains it. Oftentimes it'll explain it. HLR first civil rights attorney, 13th district senator, DNC, Hussein versus HRC versus McCain. Why is this relevant? Follow the money pre-presidential, follow the connections pre-president. They're talking about Saudi Arabia and his money that he got from Al-Walid. Why does Hussein travel ahead of POTUS? Why did Hussein travel behind POTUS? He was undermining the Trump presidency. Think Asia, think North Korea. What was told regarding North Korea during the past 8 years? What dramatic shift occurred regarding North Korea post-election of POTUS? Reconciled, define hostage, the sum of all fears. They were holding basically North Korea hostage, and they were going to create World War III with the nukes. Why are sexual, and they were going, sum of all fears, Q is telling us that they were going to use a rogue nuclear weapon to start World War III. Why are sexual harassment claims all appearing suddenly? Swalwell, the other guy who resigned, what was his name? Coincidence? What is a pill? When is it hard to swallow? How do you remove your enemies from positions of influence and authority? What's Trump doing right now? Define stages, define puppets, define puppet handlers, define proxy war. 3 times Q said this. Expand your thinking. Why is justice stalling release of C-level info? Think. Does POTUS control all matters classified? Think. Have faith. These people are losers. Meanwhile, I took you to President Trump's talk today. To the of the NCAA athletes, okay, and he's been calling, Carlson, Jones, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, calling them all losers, okay, and he said, "I like winners," to the NCAA athletes. Can't stand losers. Hate, love winners. And so, and that was today. And he posts these people are losers, right? So very significant, very significant. And in his messaging to us, right? So, and very significant that he mentions the proxy war, that Q mentions the proxy war 3 times, because that's exactly what they do with things like Southern Poverty Law Center, right? Where they use them as a front, and they're advancing these agendas that are not good for you and I. They're not good for our country. And President Trump took us to that, and 3 mentions of proxy wars on the day that one of the proxy, vehicles, Southern Poverty Law Center, was busted. Clear and simple. So clear. All right. Yes. So this was, this showed up on my timeline, and I don't know why. I bookmarked this, but let me see. I think Cat Mother B, I think you you tagged me on this, but I'm wondering if it was reposted by somebody as well. And that is President Trump. Let me take you to it. President Trump's post July back in July 23rd, 2012. And he said, read this. Barack Obama's birth certificate cannot survive judicial scrutiny because of phantom numbers. Here it is. Okay. And then it takes us to WorldNet Daily. This was before it was completely compromised, I believe. Secret Obama's phantom numbers uncovered. So it, the number 9 was marked in a box. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I could read the whole thing, but it's just one of the many things. Like it was never a paper document. Mike Zullo did all this, and he was trying to prove that Obama was indeed born in this country because he voted for him twice. Those numerical values on that document, they look like pencil markings to us, as Zullo explained. Nobody really knew what they were. But while in Hawaii, Zullo told host Aaron Klein his team was able to track down the local registrar signed to the document, and now 95-year-old woman named Verna Lee, who helped clarify the code's meaning. We discovered that the procedure for the Department of Health was to take a birth certificate, check it for accuracy, and then code it with numerical values in some of the fields, such as father's race or type of business or employment. Zullo explained they would take these numerical values that have designators to identify that information. Then the federal government would take that information and put those numerical values on magnetic tape for their own census information. So his Obama's race was African. It's always been a point of contention because in the 60s, African wasn't a race designator. Next to it is number 9. We learned the statistical codings in the 60s. Number 9 stands for unstated or information not supplied. When the number 9 shows up, there wouldn't have been anything entered in the field, not African or Black or Negro. It would have been left blank. The same anomaly appears in the field for the father's kind of business or industry, marked with a 9, so ought to be blank, but contains the word university. So none of this adds up, right? This document cannot survive judicial scrutiny. Zullo told Klein the document fails every investigational test and will fail legal scrutiny, and we are confident that if you put this PDF on trial, we can defeat it in the court of law. It can never be authenticated. All right, so the reason I bring this up is because it popped up in my feed today. All roads are leading to Obama. The other thing that I've been seeing is the video where Obama took shots at President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner back in the day. And he was visibly very, angry at the whole thing, right? So, everything's pointing to Obama and some justice coming. This from Svetlana Lakova. Obama ordered the Russiagate op to overthrow President Trump, who was elected legitimately by the American people. John Brennan implemented the op via London, England, to give Obama plausible deniability. Gina Haspel was the head of the CIA London section and coordinated with Stephen Halper, CIA, and Christopher Steele, British intelligence, who became chief FBI informers for Jim Comey on Crossfire Hurricane operation, which is how they onshored it back to the United States. When the investigation into Obama and Brennan began late last year, they both flew to London for meetings. They're trying to cover up their shit because that's what it is. It's shit, and they've been caught, and it's all coming down, folks. We would not be seeing what we're seeing, okay, if it were not for what's going on, with President Trump. There's no way that this justice is not going to be had. It's just not going to happen now. So let me tell you so they voted to do the redistricting in Virginia. Let me play this for you and kind of wrap your head around what's going on and why this is so important.
2016, when Eric Holder, right when he got out of the Obama administration, started the Democrat Redistricting Commission. And then in 2022 and again in 2024, they pressed to pick up seats in New York. But with all that said, it's about Virginia. And Virginia in 2020 held a constitutional referendum, amended our Constitution to have nonpartisan, independent redistricting. 2/3 of Virginians said we want politics out, politicians out. And now we have Abigail Spanberger saying she's going to ignore the voice of Virginians, override them, and try to adopt the most gerrymandered map in America. Today we have what is assessed as the fairest map in America. I don't love it. It's 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans, but it's fair. And she wants to override it and turn it into the most gerrymandered map in America. It's wrong. Virginians should stand up and vote no tomorrow.
Do you think that Republicans, or even, I understand that there are some Democrats who don't like this either. Is there a chance that this might not happen?
There is a chance, and that's because it is viewed as being such a gerrymandered grab of power, and they've lied to us. I mean, even the Washington Post came out and said that this is the most brazenly dishonest campaign from the yes vote, and they effectively endorsed the no vote, the Washington Post. And Virginians understand this. And so what we're seeing is not only Republicans coming together, but independents and a lot of Democrats. So this is going to be close. Listen, it's an uphill battle because they have poured $70 million into this. That's more than they spent on the governor's race in a very short period of time to try to fool, deceive, and trick Virginians. But the reality is a no vote is for the fairest maps in America.
As I understand it, Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, has put in about $20 million of his own campaign cash to help here. And just a quick glance this morning.
Hakeem Jeffries, $20 million. Like, what's going on here? By the way, they voted yes to redistrict. So this is going to be a problem in Virginia. And
2016 when
yeah, it's going to be a real problem. So yeah, just it's not looking good, my friends in Virginia. Excuse me. Let's see. Yeah, they passed it. Yeah. Yeah. So let me see. Yeah, I agree. No fraud. If you've committed fraud, you get you don't get any benefits. That's got to be the case. I've not looked into that, but let's see. Brenda, I followed you since 2019. I found a ticket in February 2025. I've been in bed for 10 months, just been able to get up and stay up more than the past month. Any advice would be appreciated, or anyone on RFK Jr. or RFK Jr. What's going on with you, Brenda? Let's see. Maybe send me an email. Give me a rundown on it. But I don't know what to tell you. But if you maybe put some information in the chat, maybe some of the Sneds could give Yeah, Hunter says maybe Supreme Court will strike it down either way. They spent $64 million and won by less than 1%. Think the red looks good for midterms. Let's hope so. I think they have to. They have to. They're going to see a lot that's going to be exposed by the Democrats, right? Yeah, 70 million to change the map, right? Doesn't. Yeah. Tammy Joe, why the lies if Stanley was American? I'm sorry you lost me on that. Who are we talking about? Forgive me if I'm missing. Let's see. Dave, the Virgins thing did not really happen. It's an imitation. I don't know what you mean. Let's see. Penny for Your Thoughts said there's a crazy Democrat lady, Tiffany Henyard from Dalton, Illinois, who was the worst mayor in America. She moved to Georgia and is running as a Republican Fulton County Commissioner. Georgia is nuts. Yeah, there's a lot of Democrats running as Republicans. Yeah. Yeah, so let me get back to some things here. Somali man walked free after $7.2 million in fraud. Absolutely ridiculous. Russia's oil refinery has been completely destroyed by Ukraine, American drones. Probably nothing, but here's the problem, is that there's some serious infrastructure stuff going on. That's a major deal right there. Here's a list of all the refineries that have mysteriously caught fire, have been blown up the last 45 days. Look at this. 15th of April, Australia, India, Mexico, India, Russia, Mumbai, India, Russia, Texas, the Valero Port Authority refinery, severe explosion and fire. Texas, Lyondell Basel Bayport plant, major industrial fire. Channelview, Texas, pump seal and failure and fire. Petromax refinery. Ecuador. And interesting that President Trump, I'll check that out, maybe play that for you guys later. But, President Trump is, announced the building of a refinery because we need more refineries. Yes. So, and then I want to go over George Santos' post here, and because we're talking about the resignations. Attention, folks. This is DC in a nutshell. While I was involved with politics and in Congress, these are some of the whispers that ran rampant in DC. Representative Max Miller of Ohio remains accused by more than one woman of hitting them. Representative Nancy Mace was rumored to have an affair with her female chief of staff. The caveat here is that her own staff made those allegations. Former Representative Anthony D'Esposito hired his mistress onto the payroll, violating ethics rules. Former Representative Brandon Williams verbally assaulted and threatened his staff on video. Former Representative Rosendale was rumored to have an affair with one of his staffers. Then Representative Ruben Gallego cheated on his pregnant wife and divorced her while having several rumored allegations of him having inappropriate relationships with staffers, lobbyists, and reporters. Former Rep. Katie Hill had an affair that formed a truple with a staffer, amongst many others. Thomas Suozzi is rumored to have an affair with a lobbyist. Representative Cawthorn had a reputation of sleeping around the Hill and using his office like a bachelor pad. Wasn't he in a wheelchair? one reporter told me that he lured her into his office one night, promising an exclusive on a subject, and then proceeded to make aggressive insinuations onto her. Former Representative Tom Reed allegedly had to resign in disgrace due to sexual misconduct. Swalwell had a nasty reputation that was ignored and swept under the rug, which sounds like it's coming out. Richie Torres has rumors alleging he is always hitting on a male staff on the Hill. Brad Sherman, rumors and allegations of improper sexual behavior. Jimmy Gomez has allegations of him cheating on his wife with younger women staffers. Jared Golden has had rumors about his aggressiveness towards women in the press corps. Anthony Weiner went to prison for sexual misconduct involving a minor. Representative John Rose married a woman that was a recipient of his education scholarship, a woman 22 years younger than him that he met when she was a minor. The list goes on, but the pattern remains the same. We have a sex problem in Washington, D.C. With all this out there, the Ethics Committee focused on one man, Matt Gaetz, even though he beat every allegation against him investigated by both Trump and Biden DOJ and FBI, and not a single charge was brought forward. D.C. is not a swamp. It's a cesspool. There you have it. So I think we're going to see a lot more of this. Yeah. So let me wanted to show, well, yeah, maybe not. Let me. This is another thing I wanted to show you about Obama, and it's coming out about his Social Security card, and so I wanted to show this. This was just I think yesterday.
Fox News alert: the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, releasing a bombshell report today that shows a conspiracy by a sitting president, Barack Obama, and his intel agencies to sabotage the president-elect, Donald Trump, brainwash the electorate, and undermine the legitimacy of an election.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling.
Now, this part was old. We know about this. This was almost a year ago. This part right here. Almost a year ago.
It to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't.
Gabbard got her hands on a House intel report that's been locked away in a CIA vault for almost a decade. Investigators spent over 2,000 hours looking into how the Russia hoax was born, interviewing 20 CIA and FBI officials.
Now, remember that drop that we went to, which was the timestamp. And it mentions Vault 7, WikiLeaks. Vault 7 was CIA. Okay. And that's what Jesse is talking about right now. Let me get back to that.
Obama administration doctored the intelligence to make it look like Putin and Trump stole the election. A month after Trump beat Hillary, Barack Obama wasn't satisfied with his intelligence reporting and ordered his CIA director to create a new assessment of how Russia interfered with the election. This was a highly unusual move. John Brennan handpicked 5 CIA analysts to write the assessment, and they were siloed. None of them knew what the other was doing, and only one analyst was in charge of drafting this report. There was nothing routine about this, and it was a rush job to publish before Trump was sworn in. Nothing was coordinated with the other intelligence agencies either. Basically, this was home cooking for Barack Obama. There were 4 key elements from the assessment that were repeated over and over again and formed the basis of the Russia hoax and the Robert Mueller witch hunt. 1, that Vladimir Putin wanted Donald Trump to win. 2, Putin took action to help Trump win. 3, the Russians had blackmail on Trump. That was the Steele dossier. And 4, that the Russians tried colluding with the Trump campaign. None of any of this was ever true. There was no reliable intelligence to support any of these allegations. Senior CIA officials repeatedly refused to traffic in these allegations, but they were repeatedly overruled by CIA Director Brennan and FBI Director Comey, who insisted that they be pushed, even without verifiable evidence. The Obama administration cherry-picked the intelligence, lied about their sources, misquoted sources, didn't corroborate their claims, suppressed intelligence that ran counter to their narratives, and even used anonymous internet postings. Rank and file CIA admitted what they were doing violated their own tradecraft standards. There was a massive pressure campaign that came right from the top. CIA analysts say they received unusual directives from political appointees, the CIA director, and Obama himself. This is how the Russia hoax was born.
Donald Trump knows that the Russians helped him win in 2016.
Putin hated Secretary Clinton so much that the flip side of that coin was he had a clear preference for the person running against the person he hated so much.
It was Russia in a very systematic way in trying to interfere in the election and to try to advance the prospects of Donald Trump being elected.
This was such a malicious disinformation campaign perpetrated on the American people that at one point, 60% of Democrats believed the Russians hacked our voting machines to help Trump win the White House. What this report actually shows is that the Russians just wanted to create chaos and undermine Americans' faith in democracy. Solid intelligence suggested that Vladimir Putin didn't care who won. He had no preference. But like most people, expected Hillary to win and had a little docket of compromising dirt on her, dirt that he never released. Now, if Putin wanted Trump to win, why didn't Putin drop the dirt?
There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump.
Now, if Clinton was on tranquilizers like the Russians believed, why didn't they leak it to help Trump win?
How credible was the information about Hillary Clinton's health?
All I have seen is what the Intelligence Committee have reported through their investigation. I think the underlying point there is that we understand from intelligence what Russia said that they had. And the important point here is that if they were trying to influence the election, as President Obama and James Clapper and John Brennan, everybody said they were doing in order to support Donald Trump's election, they would have released the most damning of that information.
Obama and his spy chiefs knew that Putin didn't prefer Trump over Hillary, but they cooked the intelligence to make it look like he did. Obama and his intel spies knew that Putin didn't collude with Trump and that he didn't even direct his people to help Trump win, but they put it out there anyway. In a sense, Barack Obama did exactly what Putin wanted, undermined Americans' faith in free and fair elections and caused chaos in our country. Barack Obama, the CIA, and the FBI were the ones doing what our enemy wanted.
Do you believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Even 2 years later, after the election, Barack Obama was still pushing a hoax he knew wasn't true. And he knew it wasn't true because he helped manufacture it.
They're undermining our alliances, cozying up to Russia. What happened to the Republican Party? They're cozying up to the former head of the KGB. Actively blocking legislation that would defend our elections from Russian attack. What happened?
Now, I don't know if it's possible to indict a former president for actions he took while in office. I'm not a lawyer, proudly. But Brennan, Comey, and others may have severe liability. Trey Gowdy says we know for a fact that Brennan committed perjury when he lied to Congress.
Director Brennan, do you know who commissioned the Steele dossier?
I don't.
You know if the Bureau ever relied on the Steele dossier as part of any court filings, applications?
I have no awareness.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Why not?
Because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had.
That was a
It was
lie.
not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done. It was not.
No, that's a lie. Whatever happens to these guys is not revenge. It's accountability. And it's time for people to pay the price.
So this is very important that this stuff is coming around again. And what that tells me is that this is the Obama situation is going to come back around. And this is just, peppering us. And I'll take you to another post by President Trump. By the way, if you want to support my work here, please do so. It is much appreciated and necessary. You can even scan the top with your phone. That'll take you to a link that you can use. Or as always, you can use Zelle. Very few of you are using the Give, Send, Go these days and going directly to Zelle or going to the online link, which allows you to do pretty much anything. But I do ask you to please support the work I do here. It is much appreciated. And and I'll pull you up at the end of the show and give you a shout out as well. So thank you all. Let me take you to President Trump's recent post, which was just yesterday. Okay. And very interesting post here. The deal we are making with Iran will be far better than the JCPOA, commonly referred as the Iran nuclear deal, penned by Barack Hussein Obama and sleepy Joe Biden. One of the worst deals ever made, having to do with the security of our country. It was a guaranteed road to a nuclear weapon, which will not and cannot happen with the deal we're working on. They actually gave $1.7 billion in green cash, loaded into a Boeing 757 and flown to Iran for Iranian leadership to spend any way they saw fit. He emptied out all of the cash from banks in D.C., Virginia, and Maryland. Those bankers said they've never seen anything like it before. In addition, hundreds of billions of dollars was paid to Iran. If I did not terminate that deal, nuclear weapons would have been used on Israel and all over the Middle East, including our cherished U.S. military bases. The fake news, like lightweight Washington Post journalist Dave Ignatius, loves to talk about the JCPOA, knowing that it was dangerous and a complete embarrassment to our country. If a deal happens under Trump, it will guarantee peace, security, and safety, not only for Israel and the Middle East, but for Europe, America, and everywhere else. It will be something that the entire world will be proud of instead of the years of embarrassment and humiliation that we have been forced to suffer due to incompetent and cowardly leadership, President Donald J. Trump. Okay. So that's a lot. And I'm going to link this to another post here in a moment, but let's go to the uppercase numbers, 135, and that takes us to November 11, 2017, Rothschild owned and controlled banks. He was just talking about the bankers and Barry and taking the money out of the bank. And the Bank of Canada is on this list. Think Uranium One and the money that went in through Canada and the uranium that went out from Canada. So he's pointing to Barack Obama, but he's also pointing to the banking problem with all this. How did he get that money out of those banks? And then I also want to take you to what he's also saying about this. The all the different wars and how long they lasted, but the thing that I wanted to bring up is Operation Midnight Hammer was a complete and total obliteration of the nuclear dust sites in Iran. Therefore, digging it out will be a long and difficult process. Fake news, CNN, and other corrupt media networks and platforms fail to give our great aviators the credit they deserve, always trying to demean and belittle losers. So he took us to losers again. Okay. Back to the Q board. Now, what's very significant about this is that their uranium that my understanding of this, and Clandestine spoke to this as well today, is that that there is a signature on the uranium as to where it came from. They're going to be able to trace this nuclear dust back to Uranium One, Hillary Clinton, and Barack Obama. That's why they're cleaning it up. That's why Trump is talking about this. Okay. And that is going to be huge because then they're going to, find out about all and this is the one I was talking about here. They're going to find out all about the communications and the money because they're going to see these transactions through the banks. No question about it. So this is all going to be exposed, and it is going to be, I believe, absolutely glorious because of what we are going to discover about the people like Barack Obama that are so loved and, by so many. Okay. And then that particular drop, that last one I just showed you, takes us to trust Sessions, trust Wray, trust Kansas, trust Horowitz, trust Huber. That's interesting. So are we talking about some of these being double agents? That's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out with those people. But I also wanted to go back to the 12, what was that post? What was the timestamp on that? Here it is. And that was 1:35, which, here we go. Which, that's interesting. Okay, very interesting, folks. So let me show you this. Okay, this is significant. All right, you with me? Yeah. All right. So President Trump's post yesterday at 1:35 Eastern Standard Time. Okay, talking about the banks, the bankers, and the money coming out. Okay. The capital letter count, okay, was 135. All right. So that took us to the Q drop 135 of the Rothschild Central owned banks. Now, the next post that President Trump did, not the next one, but the one that he mentions, the Midnight Hammer, that was 1122. There was a capital letter count of 135 on that last one that I just showed you. Okay. But there was also the timestamp of that post. Hold on one second. Okay. So the capital letter count and the timestamp are the exact same numbers, which tells me that 135 is very, very important and that something is going down regarding the Federal Reserve, the central banks, and the banking situation with Barack Obama and his use of 1.7 billion to buy, to basically buy Iran off and the Muslim Brotherhood. And so very, very interesting. Yeah. Okay. So, yes. Comments, my friends. Let's see. This executive order lines up. What's the executive order? Did you send it to me? Let's see. Did you send it to me? That's what I need to know. And where did you send it to me? Yeah, where can we go to empty out the banks? Exactly. He certainly did. Yeah. The U.S. Treasury is in control of the Federal Reserve right now, is my understanding. Yeah. No, I don't think you'll be dead before this movie ends, because I think we're going to see some good endings here. So. I think that was her from last year, the white suit. Yeah, that was for last year. Let's see. Barack Obama was involved in military operations in at least 7 countries: Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, and Pakistan. Yeah. Jasper has been on a few trips to the airport today, so he's a little tired and out in the yard. So he's pretty knocked out. He's pretty knocked out. So let me see what else I have here for you. So big things happening, my friends. Big things happening. What else do I want to share with you? This is I want to share this one with you about cancer. We saw this about the CIA declassified documents. Here.
Hold on. I'm sorry. The CIA 50 years ago knew that there was evidence that taking an anti-parasitic like ivermectin could reduce tumors, and they classified it and hid it?
Correct. It was a Soviet study. These Soviet scientists found that both tumors and parasites and these antiparasitics exerted similar mechanisms, and they found that it exerted anti-cancer activity in animals. And that study was classified by the CIA in the 50s and not declassified until 2011. So, that did significantly set back some of this vital cancer research.
Hold on.
Yeah. So, check this out.
You walk us through what your study found.
This was the single largest human study on ivermectin and methimazole in cancer patients. In this paper, we had 200 cancer patients with active cancer. 36% had active metastatic cancer. We collected all the cancer information, all the cancer types. There was so many, over 20 cancer types in this cohort. These cancer patients were prescribed off-label ivermectin and methimazole. And then after 6 months, 84.4% of them did report to have benefited in their cancer, particularly about half, 48%, did report their cancer disappeared or the tumor shrank. And 32% or 36% reported that their cancer stabilized. So it wasn't spreading, it was staying stable. And so that's what makes up the 84.4% clinical benefit ratio. 84.4% is much higher than all of these other pharmaceutical agents, chemo, radiation, etc. It's extremely promising. And now we need double-blind randomized placebo-controlled trials. This study has to serve as the springboard. They have to be initiated immediately.
Yeah. So, we're seeing this stuff come out. And, the big thing for me was this week was President Trump giving FDA approval of ibogaine, which cures a lot of trauma, PTSD, addiction. And I learned about ibogaine reading Daniel Pinchbeck's book, Breaking Open the Head. And it was significant work and significant evidence to show that you can break addiction with ibogaine so easily. So really great that the psychedelics are being changed on the whole drug schedule, right? Okay, let me see. Okay, let's see. And by the way, Heather Willard, thank you very much for your $50. I really appreciate you. Hang in there, folks. Sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them. Only then will people find the will to change. Crimes against children unite all humanity cross party lines. Exactly. Let's see. Michael, I'm trying to find where are you sending it? Where are you sending this? The executive order. I gave you my email, but I'm not seeing it there. And so we might have to cover it another night. Yeah, this is awesome. Time to heal our veterans is right. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Much love to you. You take ivermectin, you get from a pharmacy in Austin. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see if I can get it in the YouTube chat. I don't know if I can do that. Yeah, I don't see it in the YouTube chat. That's not, I don't believe that's an option. Yeah, so send in Gmail. So yeah, thank you, Dina. Appreciate you. And also thank you to Nancy Lucas for your $20 donation as well, and Aroma for UAZ for your $5 Cash App pay donation through Stripe. Thank you very, very much. Let me see. Let me take you back to, going to wrap things up here pretty soon. And let me take you to back to X. And the bookmarks that I pulled some stuff aside for you. I'm going to share that cancer post on my thing. This is what's happening. You know, this is why we cannot have our digital currency. This is what's happening in China. The digital wallet, WeChat, immediately bans you from spending your own digital money or receiving salary. So you become homeless because they're blacklisted. And this is in China. Digital credit score. And by the way, folks, this was, you know, this happened to me when I was terminated off PayPal, Venmo, and Buy Me a Coffee. I couldn't get money from people that wanted to donate because people are creatures of habit, and if they didn't have the, you know, the right, you know, connection to donate, they just didn't donate. It wasn't convenient, or it wasn't showing up on their. So that happens when you're talking digital currency, when you're talking about things that can be taken from you at a, you know, at a moment's notice for your viewpoint on the world. Yeah, it can be very devastating. Dr. Oz was interviewed, and he talked about 450 hospices in California that they shut off all funding to, and not one of them asked to have their payments reinstated. $750 million in fraud. Okay. Another oil rig explosion in Texas tonight. This happened with the story: massive explosion causes fire at oil rig near Etoile, Texas. So what's going on here? You know, with all these oil rigs, all these oil refineries that are blowing up, it's pretty intense. Okay, let me take a one more look. Okay. Nothing there. Okay, nice work, Sneds and guests. We were over 24% likes tonight. Thank you guys for doing the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Dave, did you see the update of the national debt clock? Let's go to that. Let me. I did that the other night, and man, was that something. So let's go to Snedheads. Let's go to the research Q drops. Let's go to the U.S. debt clock, and and this is USA Treasury Reserve. The refund per taxpayer $83,343. Yeah, covered that the other night. That is pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. Wait a minute, Helena, the Justice Department just withdrew their subpoena for John Brennan, Helen. But what about what about the grand jury investigation in Florida? Is it from that? That's what we got to know. That's what we got to know. Okay. So I need to, let me grok that. As John Brennan been subpoenaed? This is what we're getting. As over the weekend, April 18th to 20th, the Justice Department issued subpoenas to several witnesses to testify before a federal grand jury in Washington, D.C. The probe focuses on whether Brennan lied to Congress about his and the CIA's role. And this was after leadership shakeup, which, by the way, Joe DeGenova is going to be great. Then a quick reversal just today. The DOJ withdrew those subpoenas on Monday evening and switched to requesting voluntary interviews instead. This was described as a shaky or abrupt start to the new phase of the investigation. Brennan himself has not been newly subpoenaed in this April 2026 round, but he remains a central figure under scrutiny. Some reports mention him discussing being subpoenaed in the broader probe. So he was subpoenaed back in 2025, but that was the Florida and D.C., the Florida one, I believe. But this might have been a shift from Joe DeGenova wanting to do things differently. So I wouldn't suggest that this is over by any stretch of the imagination, because we still have the Florida grand jury. But Joe DeGenova has just taken control, and so he may be wanting to do things very differently. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But the debt clock, just back to that real quick. This is very interesting. This has never been done before in U.S. Treasury Reserve. And you click on that and you go up to the explanation up at the top. And 100% asset-backed USA money supply and the notional value of recaptured assets from the Federal Reserve banking system, which President Trump just took us to tonight. The refund per taxpayer for forfeited asset proceeds from the criminal money laundering and racketeering activity of the Federal Reserve banking syndicate. So they're basically flat out calling it illegal, okay, and criminal. And And that's why they're getting rid of the IRS. We're not going to have to worry about the IRS in the future here, folks. And then the USA hidden wealth asset backdoor wealth per citizen is 620,000, given all of our recaptured assets, okay? The land, stock market, real estate, mineral reserves, and precious metals reserves. So, for example, recaptured assets, financial and material assets repossessed from the fraudulent racketeering. I'm sorry, shit. I didn't have you with me. Damn it. I thought I had this up. I'm sorry, folks. So down here, recaptured assets, right? 9 trillion. Financial and material assets repossessed from the fraudulent racketeering operations of the international banking cartel. That's all the money we've paid into income tax into the illegal central banks. This is huge, folks. These are the precious metal reserves, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, rhodium, and iridium in the United States, mineral reserves, thorium, oil, national gas reserves. We were taken there by in this debt clock, real estate, land value, industrial buildings, total hidden wealth, $212 trillion, wealth per citizen, 620,000, total national assets divided by the number of U.S. citizens, refund per taxpayer. Forfeited assets proceeds from the criminal money laundering and racketeering activity of the Federal Reserve Bank and syndicate. So there you go, my friends. This is huge. This has never been done before, by the way. This has never been done before. And yeah, 750 million of fraud. And that was just in LA. It wasn't even in California. It was just in LA. All that fraud that they're uncovering is just massive. And that's going to be very, very interesting when that all comes out. So let me do this. Let me check one more time. Yeah, didn't receive that Dave Snedeker at Gmail. That executive order, Michael, that you were trying to get me. Yeah. Did you send it here to Dave Snedeker at Gmail? This is right here. Go. By the way, speaking of the Virginia voting, okay, the special election for redistricting Fairfax County has 35 absentee ballots for yes. This is a massive outlier compared to other counties, especially 35,000 on the dot. The DOJ must immediately investigate. So they're already calling fraud into that Virginia situation, that Virginia redistricting. So that could be, nip that in the bud, because most of this stuff is just completely corrupt, as we know, right? Just tragic what's going on. All right, my friends. Let me get to. Okay, so nothing. Let's send it, and I'll go over it tomorrow night. I will be on tomorrow night, Wednesday. I think we got some good stuff coming up tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to bringing it to you. Thank you for those who pitched in tonight to support this work and keep my lights on and keep me active on this platform. And please continue to do so and share this out. And one of the things that I thought was interesting, if you guys are interested in and sharing or going on. And anon, the Stoic plumber, is, some of you may know, is doing these Anon cards, the Anon All-Star Project. So it's all these Anons, and if you want to nominate me, please do so. The Stoic plumber. And doing some pretty cool cards. I haven't really looked into them much, but they look kind of fun and I think historical with so many of the Anons that are being mentioned in this. So yeah, so please, go on and if you want to see me and immortalized in those cards, please put it out there. All right, my friends, let's see. A lot of stuff happening. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Waking people up. Thank you, Maggie. Yeah, waking people up. Probably going to get worse. Yeah. Yeah, the debt clock has been changed. All right, my friends, thanks for being here tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow. Much love to you and yours, and I will see you soon. Good night.